If you were to ask me about Vision before this video, I probably would have given you some generic response being like, yeah, he's alright, don't really know much about the character, but in Age of Ultron I really liked him and his conversation with Ultron, and to be honest, when I was younger, I really found the character to be quite annoying. Didn't really see a purpose for him, and honestly just don't understand his inclusion in the MCU, and I didn't really think much about the character. But because of this video, and as time went on, Vision has become a character I think about a lot. And the reason for that is because a lot of the questions he asks about ourselves, about what it means to be human, and he answers these questions in a way that I think only Vision could. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Vision's origin story is kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know it was this convoluted. This is the comic book version of Vision's story. So, the scientists who created the original Human Torch and Ultron worked together using the Human Torch's body to make a creation, which was Vision. Although his body was different and he looked like the Vision we know today, his mind was still the original Human Torch's. So, Ultron killed the original scientist, and the Human Torch, now looking like Vision, tried to kill Ultron but failed. After this, Ultron realized that he was going to have to change Vision's mind, and so he used a copy of Wonder Man's brainwaves to create a new mind, which is the Vision we know today. And this sounds crazy and weird because it really is, but trust me, this is super crucial to the character's lore and his development, and honestly, I didn't know much about this origin story myself, so I thought it was really interesting to tell you guys. But Vision starts off as this character that is often very powerful, and because of his power, he's often left numb, finding all forms of life beneath him or not worth his time to interact with. And although Vision starts off as this character type, over time, Vision loses that numb android and becomes more and more emotional. As much as I like the original version of Vision's introduction in his first appearance in the comic books, I think I like the 2013 version way better. This is a redone version of what Vision's origin story looks like in the first time he meets the Avengers, and his first time actually being Vision. I think this overall story fits more with what Vision ends up becoming in his thought process throughout the Marvel Universe. Vision was created by Ultron to do one thing: help him destroy the Avengers. Ultron created Vision to have no flaws, be super powerful and strong, so that way he could be this next step in human-robot evolution. Ultron was cold to Vision when he first awakened him, and he just pretty much would train him, making Vision call him just Creator, and when Vision asked what's his name, Ultron was just like, you don't have a name, you only have a purpose. So over his time of training Vision how to use his abilities and teach him about humanity and its flaws, and how humanity is weak, and their inability to evolve was due to their emotions, which clouded them from their own flaws. Ultron taught Vision about the Avengers and how they were his objective to destroy, and during this time, Vision had an experience. Vision was curious about all these things, including his maker, and he worked hard to please his maker. He worked hard to please Ultron, but he never could. And no matter how much Vision tried, how much he improved, Ultron never seemed pleased. And when he learned about humans, he was curious about their emotions and how they were able to love each other despite their flaws. And the Avengers, he didn't see the Avengers as these people who needed to be destroyed, but they were loved by everyone for their heroics. So when Vision was sent to kill the Avengers, he did, only to please his master, which was Ultron. And he first finds Janet talking to Hank. And Janet's upset that Hank's going out again to work on some project, and Hank explains that him and Reed are really close on something, and Janet just slams the door. And Vision just watches Janet for a while in this whole interaction, and then he attacks. And Hank hears the noise down the hall and decides to start fighting Vision, and they both begin to fight, and as soon as the fight starts, Black Panther and Hawkeye show up, and they begin to fight Vision as well. And during this fight, T'Challa realizes that Vision isn't human, and they continue to fight on, and Janet goes into Vision's head and tries to destroy him from the inside, and then Vision grabs her and just throws her, and Hank jumps in to save her. And just when this fight is just starting to pick up, Ultron shows up and begins to explain to the Avengers his plan to kill them all. Then Ultron attacks Hank and is about to kill him. And this whole time while Ultron's fighting the Avengers and about to kill Hank, Vision is just standing there, watching. And he's just analyzing the whole situation, and he looks over at Janet, and Janet begins to beg to save Hank, because she loves him, despite his flaws and everything that he's done. So Vision stares at Ultron and grabs his hand right before Ultron could kill Hank. And Ultron's disappointed. And Ultron and Vision begin to fight, And during this fight, Vision asks an important question to Ultron. And he says, "Would you fight for me as they do for each other?" And Ultron tells Vision to leave, and Vision stays, and Ultron calls him a failure, just like the Avengers. And just before Ultron is destroyed, he tells Vision that he will never be one of them. And Vision stands there the rest of the night and just thinks over the battle that took place and how he was able to go against his master. Despite his programming and despite what he was created to do, he went against his master and did something almost emotional. Then Janet flies up and asks Vision if everything's okay. And Vision explains that he's just trying to understand everything. He explains how the only reason he went to the Avengers mansion was so that way he could seek Ultron's approval. But he's confused because there's something deeper beyond that emotion that he can't figure out. And Janet explains to Vision that what he's looking for is love. And she explains that everything he did up to this point was in hopes that Ultron would love him and care about him, and that's all Vision ever really wanted. Vision remarks how Ultron's gone now, and he'll never be able to receive such love and appreciation. And Janet says that Vision can stay with them. And he explains that that doesn't make any logical sense, because he literally showed up to Avengers Mansion to kill them all, so now why would they let him in? She explains that Hawkeye and the other Avengers all screwed up at some point in their lives, and they aren't perfect. But all of them together, they still love each other and still try to do the right thing despite their flaws. And Vision asks how he can change, how he can improve. And Janet says that all he has to do is make a vision of what he wants to be and work towards it. And one day he'll have it. So he wants to decide a name for himself, and this is when he chooses the name Vision, because he has a vision of what he wants to be, and that's his name that he chooses. I really like this version of Vision's origin story. The original one didn't have this touch to it, this subtleness, this emotional connection all the way through. This version really helps towards what Vision was made for, and I feel like his overall arc as a character. And that's what makes a person, and his struggle with becoming one. Vision's life is filled with crazy adventures, and the biggest adventure of all is Wanda and Vision's love. And this is critical to the character because the relationship that Wanda and Vision has allows Vision to start to see himself more as a man and feel and love, which is always something that he saw after. He always wanted to be loved and happy and have these emotions and understand them. And his time with the Avengers, saving the world and having friends, led to Vision becoming his own person and start to form his own ideas and become something he always wanted to be, a human. But if you know anything about comics, you know that comic book characters can never be happy forever, and the same goes for Vision. So Wanda and Vision end up getting married, and they have a beautiful life, they're doing great things, and Wanda ends up just spawning these children in one day, and Vision confronts her knowing that these aren't real, these kids aren't real, but despite knowing that they're not real, he loves them and raises them, and he moves past that point because he loves Wanda, he wants children, and he wants this life with her. So they're a happy family for a while until Vision gets disassembled and put back together. And after getting put back together, he has all the memories of everything Vision went up to, but he doesn't have the emotional connection to them. So he's almost back at the start of where he was, where he understands what everything is, but he's not that person. He loses his humanity, his ability to love, and the emotional connections he has with his own memories. And this is a huge thing where Wanda ends up leaving Vision, because he's not the same Vision anymore. And during this time of Wanda leaving, the kids disappear again. And by the time Vision's able to get back to his emotional state, by the time he's able to become himself again, realizing his love for Wanda, she moved on, and she's dating Wonder Man. But after all this time, Vision is okay with Wanda and Wonder Man dating. But something else is bugging him, and Wonder Man and him start to fight. And as they're fighting, Vision finally cracks and explains the reason why he's upset. And after all this time, he is nothing. He's just a cheap knockoff of Wonder Man. Anything that has ever made him human, his interest, his like for jazz, his taste in books, all of these thoughts and emotions that he has isn't even his own. So not only is he not physically a real man, but he isn't even the original. And Wonder Man reminds him that the brain scan happened a long time ago, and that sure, they may have similar things in common and he may always be connected to Wonder Man, but everything Vision has done in that time is his own. All the memories, the good times, the bad times, all the time he spent with Wanda and his kids, the many times he saved the world, all are his own thoughts, his own emotions, and his own experiences. And that's what makes him human. And that's what makes Vision original. And Vision struggles with this idea of being human. He desperately wants to be normal, and no matter what he does, he can never reach this idea. He can never be like everyone else. He wants to fit in so bad. He wants to be this perfect person, this human being, but he keeps failing, and the harder he tries, the more and more he fails. But what I want to say is that I think that this struggle to try to be normal, to try to fit in, to try to find out who you are, is the most human thing Vision does, and something we all struggle with. This idea of being normal or finding out who we are. We try to fit in, we try to look like everyone else, and it never seems to work. This struggle with fitting in and trying to conform to these ideas of what we think normal looks like in an attempt for us to be happy, we think if we're like everyone else, we'll be happy. And that's just not the case. And that's what Vision finds out, is that the harder he tries, the more he struggles with, the further away he is from happiness. And what it means to be human is that failure and flaws is something we all have. And our imperfections are proof that we're constantly changing and growing. Vision struggles to fit in and become human is such a relatable mission. But what's my favorite part about this character is the way he makes me reflect on my own humanity and what it actually means to be alive. Vision's desire to become human, his process of becoming human, and his love and curiosity for the process. I do enjoy the MCU version. Like I said earlier, when I was younger, I didn't really like it that much. But starting off as Ultron's creation, but realizes Ultron's flaws and humanity's flaws. And despite seeing both his creator's flaws and humanity's flaws, he chooses humanity. He knows that humanity doesn't make the best choices, they make mistakes all the time, and yet he can enjoy moments in life. And he realizes that's what makes us beautiful. And that conversation that Vision and Ultron have at the end of Age of Ultron is probably one of my favorite parts in the MCU. I think about that conversation a lot, and it's honestly one of my favorite moments, where Ultron and Vision are talking to each other, and Vision just explains his love for humanity. But we know how this ends. Vision dies. But while he's willing to give his life away to stop Thanos, he's valued as a person. His life is valued, and the MCU Vision may not have had a huge impact on the overall story of the MCU, but by the end of his arc, he's a human. Over this whole story, over this whole thing, he starts off as a subjective robot, but by the end of his arc, he has emotions, he struggles, and he's treated as another one of the team members. He gets to experience that love, and he was valued. He wasn't just among the Avengers, he was an Avenger. Vision's character and themes about how life is a gift and our existence is something that should not be taken lightly. We cry, we feel pain, we dread, we fear, hopelessness, powerless, stress, anxiety, dark. And I'm saying all of these moments are not the best, but they're all part of the human experience and a privilege that we get to partake in. The struggle of fitting in and understanding ourselves is what makes us alive and unique. So don't try to conform or change yourself to what other people think and what you think might make you happy, because perfection is the opposite of humanity. Your existence, your ability to breathe and think and feel is something you should use. Find those things out in life and do the things you want to do and follow your dreams, and your life has purpose. Not because other people say it does, not because other people think that you have value. Your life has purpose because you are alive. So what I want to say to you is live, breathe fresh air, put down your phone and just live. And stop overthinking what you should be and what you should look like and what other people are doing. Just be you. Live in this moment. Your flaws are part of being human, and the ability to grow and change is a gift. So don't struggle to be someone else. Just grow into who you are. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Talk to you later. Peace.